What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of SerieAddicts. Marco Romano with Tito Yang, as always. And today we have a special,
Special.
special
Special.
guest. We got our cousin in the house, Yusef.
Oh,
A little bit of a disadvantage for me. We got two Juventinos and one Interista on the podcast today. We're gonna actually talk about two match days. We didn't record our episode
that's
last
true.
week. We were busy enjoying Christmas, but that means that we have a lot more games to cover on today's episode. Starting with actually the Super Copa. We're gonna go talk about the Super Copa in Saudi. We're going to talk about match day 16, which was a short match day because the teams that were involved in the Super Copa in Saudi did not play their matches on match day 16 of the Serie A.
That's right.
But we're also going to talk about match day 17. And as we kind of go through all the games, we'll talk a little bit about the market, right? We're about to enter the market. We'll talk about maybe some teams that can make a difference depending on what they do on the market. We're talk about some teams that, regardless of what they do in the market, quite frankly, won't have a chance to improve their situation. Fiorentina. But anything else, Tito, Youssef, that you want to make sure that we talk about on the episode today?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about like your least favorite and your most favorite things about the 2025 season so far.
Oh,
You
that's
know,
cool.
highlights and lowlights. And then we also gonna talk about what captaincy is definitely not coming to you with. Uh, but we can talk about that later.
Let's see about that. Spalletti really wants him, so let's see how
I
that
think
shakes up.
that's like journalists making up stories, like usually they usually do.
I don't know about that. It's been all over the place. I think there's a little bit more reality to the
No,
story and the
that's all
interest
rumors.
from Juventus, but let's see. But kicking things off, we had the Super Copa Italiana taking place not in Italy for some reason, which again I know I've brought it up in a previous episodes, but it's the
That's
dumbest shit
ridiculous.
ever.
That's ridiculous.
But we have the Super Copa Italiana taking place in Saudi. We have to talk about Bologna defeating Inter and getting the upset in the semifinals. I told you, Tito, that this was the worst display from a penalty shootout standpoint that I've seen. Not only from an Inter standpoint, which was pretty horrible, but overall, because Bologna didn't have a great penalty shootout outing either. But it was laughable in many ways. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's a part of the travel, everything that takes place, how they make the Supercopa Italiana a lot bigger or a lot weirder than it needs to be. It's the Supercopa from Italia. It should be played in Italy, right? Let the fans attend those types of games.
Yeah, I think that's what's
Bologna's
messed up.
solid
That's what's
team.
messed up. Like the fans don't have a chance. Like it's the Italian Super Cup, and Italian fans don't get a chance to go there and watch it. Like that's why to me, like if you want to do like an exhibition tournament in Saudi Arabia, get a bunch of money and like have them show tigers and halftime and stuff like that. Like I don't care, bro. Like go do that. But you know what I mean?
Freaking
But
gladiator movie.
but what I mean is like the Italian, like it's the Italian Super Copa. It's like you're watching the two champions of the Italian tournaments go head to head, and now they made it like a 4 team tournament just to get more money. But it's like it's all about money and like fuck the fans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the problem with the thing, and that's what needs to be found. And they said, yeah, like in a lot
and,
of ways.
but also not only that, but not rewarding the teams that achieved uh, a great feats on the previous season to get to that point, right? Because
Right.
for me, it's like the World Cup. Let's cut all the BS. Whoever wins it the previous season gets to host the next season.
You mean it's
That's for
in their
me.
stadium?
Yeah, for me, it's whoever won the Super Copa last year. If they're involved in the tournament, that's where the final should be played. That's it.
I don't know, man. I think they should move the either have it in Rome all the time like they used to do,
Stadio Olimpico. Yeah.
because it's like the capital of the country.
Oh, like they do in the
Or
Premiership, right? It's always in Wembley. It's always at Wembley Stadium
right.
in the Premiership.
I either just keep doing that because that's what it's always been. There's like, why is the reason to change it? Or if you want to spread some money around and just have it move around different Italian cities and like have it be in like a different Italian city every
Well,
year, then you
You
get
have the
people to
right
go
infrastructure.
there.
Yeah.
there's rumors that for next season, one of the spots that they're considering is the U.S., which I
Come
talk all this
on,
shit
man.
about
Like
it being
nobody
in
wants to
Saudi.
see
But
that
if it's
shit.
gonna be here and I can go to the matches, I'm all for it.
No, man. Like, nah. They're gonna do it here, and the price of the seats is gonna be like the actual
World Cup
fans of the game
ridiculous.
can't go, and the match is just full of asshole influencers taking pictures of themselves, like with the stadium in the background. Like they're not even watching the game. Like fuck that, man. Like don't do any games here, if you ask me. Like the US will just become like the worst place for a fan ever. Like it costs you $250 to sit like way up there and eat some popcorn. It's ridiculous.
I wouldn't agree to that, right? Because obviously, right, you got to think of other sports. But I would say that from a World Cup standpoint, the World Cup ticket prices are fucking ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
Uh, we hope that
But
it
that's a
gets
FIFA
better,
thing, right?
but
That's not so much a North America thing. That's more like a FIFA thing.
I think
uh,
it's a
a
combination
little
of
bit of
things.
both. Yeah,
Because
it's a
I
little bit of
bet you
both.
the World Cup was like in somewhere else, like in Ecuador, like prices won't be that. Like it just depends on where you go to the World Cup. Like first of
Yeah,
all, they don't do
exactly.
the World Cup anymore in a place where they can't charge a shit ton of money for the tickets. Like that's never
It's a
gonna
FIFA
happen.
thing.
You
Yeah.
know, that's not gonna be like you're never gonna see the World Cup in Nigeria like next year. You know what I mean?
But from what I was saying earlier, right? Let's take for example this World Cup, right? Host nations, Mexico, terrible team. Sorry, but Mexico not at their best right now.
Yeah, but
U.S.
they
Well,
were
okay,
still gonna qualify out of CONCACAF. Like to be
that's the thing,
realistic,
but
you know.
more than likely, but it sucks because you have three teams that are automatically qualified. That's three spots that are already taken. And listen, I'm a little bit salty, and I wanted to ask this before. For me, it would be curious to understand if the prices in Mexico and Canada are as ridiculous as here in the U.S. Because if Italy qualifies, they play in Toronto, and I'll definitely be going up north, we the north, to catch Italy live. Knock on wood.
To
They're not playing
Canada,
North
to
Macedonia
Canada,
at least.
Canada
Yeah,
has like a tougher visa process than Mexico does. Like it would probably be easier to go to Mexico, and your dollar would stretch a lot more. Like like
yeah, yeah.
if
But
Italy
but
made
but
it and they played
that's
Mexico,
where Italy would play
I would
if they
it would probably
qualify.
be cheaper for me to get tickets to go to Mexico to watch Italy play than to just watch them in the Bay Area, for example.
Yeah, yeah. But if they qualify, the group stage matches are in Toronto. That's what they would fall,
Yeah, I mean
right?
Toronto's not a cheap city either.
Screw it. For me. I'm in New York. It's very easy for me to get it to Toronto.
Yeah, it's close.
For first and foremost, they got to qualify. But kind of back to it, right? It was terrible for me. Lautaro stepping up. Props and praise to the captain. Um, can't say enough good things about Lautaro Martinez, starting with his effort, which I'll talk about it in some of the games moving forward. But like you would expect your number 9 striker to do, or your number 10. Great penalty, and then it was downhill from there. Bastoni, terrible. Barella, looking at the spot like it was a spot, it's like no, there's nothing on the ground, bro. That's just a terrible penalty. Boni, terrible. Debray had a good shot.
No,
But props to Bologna.
any credit. Yeah, I was gonna say any credit to Bologna in there because like
Props
they
to Bologna,
actually
well deserved. If you look at obviously Inter dominated the match. Um, Sad for Bisek because he cost us the title last year with a penalty that was given to Lazio for a handball from Bisek last season. Now, kind of having the pen called on him in the Super Copa semifinal. Unfortunate, but listen, at the end of the day, you got to put these types of games away. It's not about one play, and the display from the penalty spot was just pathetic for Inter. So props to Bologna for making it through. On the other side of the coin, we had Napoli Milan, which Napoli did beat Milan 2-0. Another great performance by David Neres, which I feel he's
Yeah,
been kind of a
he's been on
bless.
fire. Yeah,
He's been a blessing in disguise for Conte, right? Conte dealing with so many injuries.
yeah,
Finally, he's playing around with different formations. He gets to a formation where he is actually able to field and start David Neres. And ever since he made that switch, David Neres has been on fire for Napoli.
yeah. We knew. I mean, we knew his quality already, but the thing is, he's become a focus now because of the injuries to the offensive players that Napoli is at. So I think he's been carrying the team, like in terms of getting the results, because Napoli's been on some tight games that David Neres has been, resolving for them in the past couple of weeks. So big up to
I
him.
think with
He's,
his
he's been
speed,
developed real
and
well.
we talked a little bit about it, right? It was funny how Juve had Cope Miners try to deal with Neres one on one. That wasn't very good for Juve. But Neres has been playing awesome, and I gotta give big props to Hoyland. He's been doing awesome since coming from Manchester United. Another Manchester United refugee that has found their way and their form in another place. For Hoyland, we'll talk about it a little bit later on, but he's definitely been getting on the score sheet, has definitely helped them uh, essentially stay as contenders for the Serie A title this season, even with Lukaku being up. And Yusef, I know this is your team, so anything you want to share about Napoli?
Oh, no. Yeah, they're playing as expected, and he still got Conte at the helm, so he's gonna get the best out of the players. And as far as Hoyland, yeah, it's everybody who goes to United apparently they forget how to play football.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
crazy.
Xerxes linked with Roma now too, so that'll be another interesting one to see if he comes back to Serie A, he can still score like he did back in Bologna.
I
Yeah, and
think
Roma
it's just
need
a
a striker.
toxic environment,
They
right? I
They
think
definitely need
need
it's
a
him.
just
striker. They're terrible right now up front, and
because
I
you
don't know
see,
what, but I was gonna
go
say I
for
don't
it,
know
go
what
for it.
Ferguson did to Gasperini, but that's a terrible working relationship, and just to come out and just shit on him constantly, and so they definitely need to replace somebody.
Yeah.
But I think Manchester United just has a toxic locker room, which I
For 10
feel
years,
like Chelsea had, but ever since Maresca like has been at the helm at Chelsea, he's kind of helped them turn things around. I think with Man U, it's more of an Amorim situation, just not
No,
being
man.
able to
No.
get the best out of players.
no, that's
Which
been
to
10 years of
Bro,
just
it's been too many
terrible
managers.
decisions.
You can't say it's like
Yeah,
it's
something up
been
front.
manager after manager after manager ever since like Sir Alex Ferguson left. They
but
haven't
it's a
had
toxic locker room.
stability.
That's what I'm saying.
But
You
the
need a
locker room
manager
was
like
changed,
Conte
bro.
that
Like
can get the best out of them.
this has been how long ago did Alex Ferguson leave? More than 10 years now. Since he left,
No,
there
a lot
hasn't
longer.
been any there hasn't been any stability in Man U since the guy left. It's been
It's just
Yeah,
changes, managers changing, the whole team gets sold and bring a whole new midfield, and bring defenders. They spent a shit ton of money. They wrote Pogba in, they wasted a bunch of money on Pogba. It's like, they just made like terrible decisions. Kind of like what New has been the last 2 or 3 years. Man United has been that for like 13 or 14
and we've
consecutive
talked
seasons.
about it, right? That's where we kind of bring it around because we talked about it. Juve got to that point where, listen, on paper, you have the players. It's just
nah.
they
I
couldn't
disagree.
figure out.
I wouldn't agree with that. They don't have on paper the players. The majority of those guys, they're like the second or third option in their area of the field on a team, on a good team, on a team that Juve is purporting to be. Even somebody like Kevin Turam, like he's a good player, but that can't be your best midfielder, central midfielder. And so they're definitely they need more talent. And like somebody like Yildiz, like if they need to sign Yildiz, the moment like if they don't sign Yildiz to a renewal and
And
they have to get rid of
McKenny.
him, that's a real watershed moment for Juve. Because
Yeah.
now you can't say this is Juve anymore. You know what I mean? Because if you can't sign somebody over a million, 2 million euros a year, then there's no way to
Well,
get that quality of player.
Right.
You know what I
and,
mean?
and,
You're
and we'll,
just
and
gonna
we'll
be
we'll
buying
talk about
scrap.
it because I think right we're gonna talk about US two last matches, right? But also since we have two Juventinos on the pod today, right? Interested to get your take on what in US mentality should be going into the next transfer market. I know Tito, you mentioned that you're not a big fan already of the Fratesi potential move,
You don't need
right?
him.
Yusef, you mentioned that hey, we don't actually have the players that we should have at different positions. So we'll definitely get into that. But to tie things up for the Super Copa, right? We had Napoli go against Bologna in the final. 2-0 victory for Napoli. Congrats to Napoli on the
Conte won a cup.
uh, on getting a cup, right? And that's always been the thing with Conte. He's not doesn't do well in these types of tournaments. Granted,
Yeah.
it was only a semifinal and a final,
Hmm.
not the Champions League, but they did get the win with as much or as many injuries as Napoli have right now in the roster. I think it's a big accomplishment for their team and for Conte,
Yeah.
and definitely a statement that they're still a very live threat for the Serie A title this season.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. They just need to find some consistency, right? Because that's the problem with them is like once either European football starts or they have a couple of weeks where they need to play twice a week, they start losing points. They start dropping points like crazy. I don't think maybe it's just the way that Conte does his turnovers or how he uses the player, who he's resting and when. Maybe those types of decisions are affecting them. But I mean, they're still in it to fight for the Scudetto because the race is so tight. But they already got a title in the books. So as far as Napoli's concerned, already the start of a successful year with, another possible title to come. It doesn't look like they're gonna go too far in the Champions League. It's in contest specialties anyway, but we'll see how that develops.
Hey, but still hopeful, right? Because we know in the Champions League we want all Italy teams to do well.
Yep.
Right? That lets us have an additional spot, an additional team in the competition moving forward. So, like, regardless of who we root for in Serie A, we always root for the flag when it comes to those types of tournament. We want all Italian teams to do well.
Yeah, and we want
But again,
Barcelona to lose. That's the other thing.
no, typically because of the bandwagoners. Uh,
Yeah,
but
exactly. Because their
uh,
fans sometimes just thinking,
but
yeah.
like you said, right, good win to wrap up the year for Napoli. Bring another trophy back home. They've made some pretty decent investments in the last summer market, so having it pay off with some of those players not even being able to play, I think it's good for De Laurentiis and for Napoli, for Conte, right? So it's good to see them get the win. And for me, I'm happy that they got the win. It wasn't Bologna. But moving on and going to the
I think it would
match
have
day
been more
16.
original, right? In Bologna one, dude. Like that sometimes like somebody who's not the usual suspects should win. Like Atalanta a couple of
Yeah,
years
but
ago.
once Bologna got past Inter, I thought that was more or less going to be the case.
Well, you never
But
know.
moving on to the match day 16, which again was a short match day because of the teams that were playing in the Super Copa Italiana semifinal and final.
Yeah.
Kicking things off with Lazio and Cremonese, one of the surprises this season. Unfortunately, not a lot to
Donuts.
talk about in this match. It ended on a 0-0 draw. I think
Donuts.
I was probably expecting Lazio to walk away with some points out of this one. A little bit surprised that it ended up 0-0, but then
Yeah.
Cremonese did get a red card, right? But it was at the last minute,
Yep.
so that didn't have an impact on the game. But a pretty
Cremonese.
even match.
Cremonese still punching above their weight, like for a promoted team, still going toe to toe with Lazio, who's a team that should be fighting for the sixth or seventh spot at least, right?
But Cremonese, right? We'll talk about the market. Cremonese is one of those teams that is interesting, right? Because they brought in Vardy, right? They
Vardy's
brought in some
old,
like
bro.
Okay, but he's getting them some production. At the end of the day, their goal is probably to stay in Serie A. If they can
Yeah.
achieve that, if
Yeah.
having Bardi, and listen, you say Bardi's old, but who was the player of the month
Yeah, yeah,
for
like
Serie
that's
A
but
last month?
that's the EA. That's
Vardy.
the EA one. Like I don't know how they choose those. That's they always give it to like some random ass people. Like EA, like the FC 26 player of the month for Serie A, like how they pick that.
Hey, but
Like,
he scored goals. That's what I'm saying. He's being productive. He's scoring goals.
no,
He's
I'm
getting
not
on the
saying
score
he
sheet.
isn't, but
He's
like,
helping them
yeah,
get points. So at the end of
I'm
the
not
day,
saying
if
he
he
isn't.
helps Cremonese stay in Serie A, I think that's a W for them.
Yeah,
And
I
right
think
now
they
they're
look like they're staying.
overachieving.
Yeah, they look like they're staying. Would have picked them. Like where Yusuf, where did you have Cremonese ending up at the end of the season?
Irrelevant at the irrelevant place. It doesn't. I didn't really see them. I'm surprised they're even there to begin with. I know people at Pisa too. There's a couple teams that been surprised that they were able to climb the ladder to get there to begin with. Because you got plenty of teams like in Serie B that are kind of like in the revolving door constantly, and for them to sneak their way in says a lot about the competition level in Serie B.
The other
Yeah,
one being that revolving door is Sassuolo,
That's
right?
crazy
Which
how they
have
fell
been
off, right? They were perennially in like mid-table teams. And I guess when they got rid of like that Scamacca, Fratesi, and Raspadori,
that's the
Locatelli.
thing. Yep. That's the thing, being able to keep a hold of those players, but they're back in Serie A, still have a legend in Berardi,
but I didn't
which is
end up
one of
like Vardy. Vardy could have took that move after they won the Premier League, and I think he stuck it out. Didn't he stick it out with Leicester, and then that kind
yeah.
of
Yeah,
the same thing with
and
Berardi.
Leicester went
Berardi was in
down. It
there for a
went down
while.
with the ship too.
Yeah,
What happens?
I said it happens as a Berardi situation, but he's doing awesome. He always does awesome at Sassuolo, and they have some other players. I'm a big fan of Lariante on the left side. They got some talent. They got some talented players. They got Pinamonti, right?
They still
Ex
got smoked by Torino
Inter.
this match day.
by who?
Torino.
Yeah, and I know
Uh,
we were talking about Lazio Cremonese, and again, 0-0 draw, nothing to talk about on that one. But before we get ahead of ourselves, right? Next matchup in match day 16 was Juve Roma,
I
2-1
told you.
victory
I
for
told you.
Juventus, and you
I
called it
told you.
before this match. And I could see it coming, right, with Juventus, I think, is starting to find itself still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah.
But Roma hadn't improved. Let's just say that hadn't shown anything different. Hadn't shown
Very
any improvement in the
consistent.
last couple of matches.
Yeah, Roma's been very consistent, especially from a defensive perspective. They're the team that has allowed the fewest amount of goals. Like even here, it was very tough for Juventus to finally find a breakthrough. They did with Conceição
I
in the
mean,
end.
great
Great
goal
goal.
though. Great
Really good
goal.
goal.
The flick from Cambiaso.
Yeah.
Obviously, great finish from Conceição, but he was four
Yeah.
yards away from the box, 1-on-1 with the keeper.
Yeah.
Cambiaso, who I feel hasn't been playing great, but this was a awesome assist. Obviously, started with Yildiz going 1-on-1 on the left side, plays the ball into the box for Cambiaso. Cambiaso does the back heel flick over
Yeah.
to
Kind of like
Conceição.
the side shoot flick, like you upset back. Yeah. And Conceição, like a perfect finish on there. And then open does goal as well. It's like there's a lot of work that McKennie does, like in this match. He was completely all over the pitch. I think McKennie, honestly, people talk a lot about Kone and some of Roma's midfielders like Cristante and shit. Like McKennie was all over the pitch. Like he was eating them up. Like in this match, at least, like to me, he was probably the person who contributed the most. And I'm a big fan of McKennie. So I'm always talking positively about
Yeah, but
McKennie.
that's what we always say about McKennie, right? He's so
Yeah,
versatile. He can play so many different roles, so many
he's
different
everywhere.
positions that it's just he's a Swiss Army knife for Juventus.
Yeah, and in that game, like there's been games, not in this one. In this game, he played the entire game. I saw the Locatelli, but on the game after that, Locatelli got subbed out. McKennie stays on. Like that's how you understand like what the rankings are on that team because you can do a couple of subs. Like if you're a manager or you're a player like McCall, and you can swap out a defender and now McKenny plays there. When you swap out a midfielder and McKenny can play there. Like if you got an attacking midfielder, you can play there. You need a defensive midfielder, you can play there. So it just gives you a lot of freedom on how like switch formations and switch tactics on the fly because you have that player who you can put him in those positions and it's not a hole, because gold miners,
But that's the
if
thing.
he's still on
Like,
that
let's be honest.
midfield,
That was McKenny's goal
he was fucking.
because you and I talked about it after the game, right? It was a great
That
cross
was
by Segrova,
that's
who
big. Oh,
again
that was
what
a pretty good cross.
one of
Yeah.
my favorite players in Serie A this season. Segrova again comes in. It's
Oh,
crazy because you can already see that the players know
bro,
because in that play he gets
he
the ball
sees
on the right.
passes. He
The
sees
defender
passes.
doesn't close the space
Yeah.
and tries to pressure him because he knows the deal. And that space allows him to get that cross in, which McKenny heads in. Then it good save by the goalkeeper, but it lands right in McKenny's foot, and then he literally passes it to the left. And I don't think
Yeah.
Openda actually even swung at it. I think he just ricocheted off of Openda's foot, and it went into the goal.
But I think he's pretty clean on that one. Because here, that goal that opened that goal, I think came from like a pass. I think it was like McKenny's header with Sobroa, wasn't on the
Yeah,
Pisa
it was a
goal. I think it was a
Segrova
Pisa.
cross from the right.
And
McKenny
that was
headed it. The keeper stopped it. McKenny passed it to the left, and Segrova had
oh
like a
yeah,
tap
yeah,
in
yeah, yeah. Not
from a
Segrova,
meter
yeah,
away.
Openda. You're right, you're right, you're right, you're
Openda.
right.
Sorry, yeah,
Yeah,
Openda.
exactly,
Openda.
exactly. So again, like Segrova is breaking defenses up. Like he doesn't have the 90 minutes in him, but even in the Pisa match, we'll talk about it later, but he was just ridiculous on that match. Because he was like, Pisa had Juve on lockdown. They put this guy in, and all of a sudden they can't stop us anymore. It's like chance after chance after chance. Because he's seen passes
It's
that
gonna be
nobody else
interesting
has
once
seen.
he's in shape
Oh,
and
he's
he
a
can get more
menace.
minutes.
He's
But
a
that's
menace.
where I want to hear a little bit from Youssef, right? Because that's one position for sure that I can say that you will have two players that would start in most
Most teams.
teams
Yeah.
in most teams
Conceição
right
and
now,
Zagrova.
right? But when we talk about the market, and we can talk about Roma again, and I did want to call out right Baldanzi, who got right a goal as well for them. It
Yeah.
was 2-1 victory. But when it comes to the market, right, and you and I, Tito, have talked about it, we feel that Roma they're one striker away, right? They need a solid number nine that is
Number nine,
reliable and
yeah.
consistent for them. I think their defense has been pretty solid um, so far this season. I think they obviously need some consistency up front. But when it comes to Juve, right, we know that Roma right now their focus should be on a striker 100%. When it comes to Juve and the upcoming market, right, what should be the priorities for Juventus with this upcoming transfer market?
I think they're definitely looking for a right back, and they're definitely looking for somebody to play in the midfield in front of the defense, like just a regista type midfielder. So it's not gonna be an incontrista. It's not gonna be a mezzala or like a player that runs and attacks the box. If you ask me, right? I think Spalletti is looking for somebody with still.
Like a Fratesi?
Yeah, it's not gonna be like a little light midfielder that can attack the box. We got enough. I think Turan does that. I think Locatelli could do that. He could be way better at doing that, like a basic type job, than trying to be the man who controls the rhythm of the game and makes the passes from deep. I don't think he's just not good at that. He doesn't see some of the passes that top level registas see
You know
when they play.
what's ironic though? You know who would be very helpful in the midfield for Juventus right now? Rabiot.
But even him, like he's
Like, he's
great, but he's
basically
not a
Thuram. Like that's the
right.
same.
Mhm.
Carry the
No,
ball forward. He's big. He
let's
can
say
control it.
Turam's good, but sorry, there's levels. I put Rabiot
I
way
don't.
over Turam right now.
It's the
Sorry,
same
dude.
type of player as what Yusuf is saying.
It's
He's
just,
like a
that's what I'm saying.
physical
The role. It's
midfielder
the same
who's
thing.
offensive, but he's not a regista. He's not gonna sit back and control the pace of the game, like a Modric or somebody like that,
Like a Chalanoglu.
or Chalanoglu or
Zielinski.
Zielinski.
Zielinski was
Like
great
there's
that last year on controlling.
Yeah.
yeah,
I think
there's
Inter have definitely looked a lot different since they started fielding Zielinski and Chalanoglu at the same time.
that's the thing. Like some players can control the rhythm of the match by just slowing down the
Yeah.
ball, like holding a little bit longer, and then they see passes. They see passes that are like other players don't see, and then they have the actual technical quality to make the passes. Because sometimes Locatelli sees the pass, but then the pass goes to the second row like the fans. Like
Yeah,
he just doesn't have the technical level
the
to
weight.
do
He
half of the
can't put
shit.
the weight on the ball,
Yeah,
so it's useless. One
yeah.
out of every
So
five connects, but if it's over 15 yards, it's a dead attacking movement. You know what I mean? Like
mhm. We never like Juventus never replaced the Pirlo and Pjanic, right? Because after Pirlo, Marquisio was able to do that for a second. Then Pjanic came in. Pjanic and Khedira were able to that four-man midfield for a while, and for the Champions League final thing like that. But they have Pjanic. Pjanic was a player who could get like hold the ball and create like opportunity with like very good passes, cross field passes, passes to space. And right now, who's that player at Juve? Thuram is great attacking going forward. McKennie is great, very dynamic attacking going forward. So you can use them too as like box to box players that like help defend and attack the box. But you
Yeah,
need that.
you don't have that type of center mid right
and
now.
it goes both ways
Yeah.
too. It's not just in the back and the defensive midfield. It's also linking with the attack. You used to have that with Dybala. Dybala, he's doing an amazing fucking job this year at Roma. He's just moving
When he's
side to
not
side
injured.
and pulling defenders and opening up space for the central midfielders. He used to do that, and Pogba used to do that, and we don't have any. So they're kind of like cut off on both ends.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
I think having
it's
the
that
Regista would
Pirlo, bro.
unlock that other part.
I think you guys have been searching for that Pirlo replacement ever since Pirlo left. And there just hasn't been like that solid replacement. I think we
Eh,
found it in Chalanoglu at Inter, which dumbass Milan didn't see his potential. But I would say that's key. Surprising that Yusef brought it up earlier in the pod, but Yildiz, right? We saw some flashes again this game of the Yildiz that we love seeing, right? Hit the
he's killing
post
it.
as well, had a great move and hit the post. But we
Yeah.
saw some flashes from Yildiz again on this match, right? We talked about him. So when is Yildiz's contract up? What is the whole situation there?
He's gone in the summer. I just saw that they put a deadline on the contract. When I see that, they're
No,
kind of
he's
like
not
setting the
gone in the
stage.
summer. His contract expires next
It
year.
doesn't matter. He's gonna force his way out because they're gonna offer him twice as much money as we can pay him. So instead of wrapping him up while you had a chance, then you start letting these other teams woo him with
Mhm.
money and a bigger league. So he's gonna be as good as gone.
Yeah.
That's how.
But if we
Like,
sell him, then we better get, 150 or something ridiculous
and
like
then so
everybody.
they can buy another Cope Miners, another Douglas Luiz. That's
Yeah,
what
that's the
bothers me,
problem.
right?
Mhm.
Because then you can't afford like a Nico Williams, right? These players that are like on the cusp, they're like 24 and they're on the cusp of blowing up because you don't have the money for that. You know what I mean? The salary and the transfer budget. So, like I was saying earlier, your best bet is to be able to poach somebody like Yildiz from a youth setup and then develop them, but you have to be able to keep them. So if you can't pay this guy 6, 7 million euros, then what are you doing?
Yeah. Well,
What's the point of doing it?
the reality now, cousin, is like when players get to a certain level, we can't keep them regardless, right? That's the problem because
And that's the same for
they don't get,
Italy. I think that's across the board in Italy
yeah,
right now.
that's every Italian
Unless they
team.
were born, raised, and like played in the
Yeah,
academies in Italy, it's
yeah.
very hard to keep.
So then, so
Look
then
at
getting rid of all your
Cavada.
youth players last
Cavada,
year, that was a terrible thing to do because then you need to turn into more of Atalanta who can develop players who can play at a high level when they mature at the same time and then try to win something like that, try to time it. But if you're just constantly expecting them to be the Juventus of the last 20 years, then you're not giving the young kids any time, any chance to play. You're putting your
Right.
hopes on second-rate players. Like
What I would
even
say
a
is
coach like
Yeah.
Spalletti has, right? He's given Meretti, who I hadn't seen in the
yeah, they
pitch
give him
for a
Palestra
while.
or somebody like that.
No, that's
Who players
Yeah.
that
Palestra's
need to
coming
invest
to
But
in.
Inter.
listen, to Yusuf's point, right? Like, what good is it spending 40, $50 million on like 3, 4, 5 players like that instead of giving the kids a chance when you have seen
True.
throughout the years that a lot of these players that you're spending $40 million on are not really as good when they come to your team, actually. And then you have some of the youth players playing better than them, and it wouldn't have cost you anything. We're selling youth players like Dean Eisen
Sola and
for like
Heisen,
12 million to a club in England, and then they turn around and
they
sell
buy
him for
Openda
65,
for 50 million euros.
and then we buy up end up for 50 million. That's we're not like that's we're
You
just not doing smart business. It's just
you can't you can't pay Yildiz an extra 1 million, 2 million a year, but you can spend 50 million on a panic buy. And even if you're telling me, oh, because they depreciate it, whatever, you depreciate 50 million over 5 years, that's 10 million euros. You
yeah,
can't. So it doesn't
plus
make
the
sense,
salary,
huh?
plus the salary.
Plus, it doesn't make any sense. And then you got him up front playing by himself. This guy, he definitely can't lead the line. So I don't see what the point. I don't see what their strategy is, what the reasoning is behind what they're doing. If they lose Yildiz, everybody in that the front office needs to be just sent packing. Their careers need to be shot against the post.
I think that
So
I
I
don't
think
think there's a way they don't lose on actually because he's just too good. Like when a player gets to a level where he's too good, and you have teams like Madrid want him, or like
All he has to do
Barcelona
is put
want
pressure and he
him,
wants to leave.
or
Yeah.
PSG want him, he's gone, bro. He's gone. So right I left Napoli, they were the champs. I'm freaking like it was nothing for
Yeah.
PSG. You know, it doesn't matter how good your team is in Italy. You could be Inter. If somebody comes with 80 million, you're gone. It doesn't matter, you know. And then English teams be spending $75 million on a stupid English defender nobody's heard of, like shit like that. You know what I mean? Like they don't care. They got money to burn. That's the problem.
You have
So
a little bit of cushion because you're still Juve. Like you still have a certain prestige to your name, and you have
yeah,
a
but
certain amount of money that other like a Napoli doesn't have. So the idea there is that you can maintain these players long enough to where you have a situation where you have the right group of players maturing
bro,
at the right
look at
time.
another example. Milinkovic Savic. Like you were wanting him for the longest. Like they couldn't compete with whatever they were gonna pay him in Saudi Arabia. Like there's no way. You know what I mean? So he goes to the
Yeah, but they
Saudi
kind of
league.
drug their foot there too, right? Because he was on their radar since like 17, and he just
Yeah, but
left
what are you
like
gonna do
2 days
when they
ago.
come with an offer and we're giving you 14 million a year and you was offering three? You know, there's no contest. There's no way to get around that.
so. Listen, we'll follow up here, right? Because we got a couple more matches and another Juventus match to get to. But what biggest takeaways, right? I think it's for Juve in the market, right back Regista,
Regista,
and depending on what happens with the whole Yildiz
Vlahovic.
situation, potentially is a
They're not gonna
replacement
find all that.
They
for
need a number
Yildiz, and
nine too. They need a number nine, like somebody to replace
which is crazy
Vlahovic.
You
because
gonna
they
find that
just
stuff
Vlahovic
in
spent
and
winter.
a
Bini.
You're
ton
gonna
of
find that in
money.
East in the winter.
They just spent a ton of money on Openda and Jonathan
Can I make
David, which
another
is kind of crazy,
prediction?
but
I'm gonna make another prediction. They're gonna extend Vlahovic's contract by a year. Nobody wants Vlahovic right now because he's coming off of a long-term injury. Also, he's been very inconsistent in Juve, and I think the best situation for everybody involved would be for Juve to be able to like renew the contract for at least a season and then try to sell him during the summer if they can. But I don't think anybody's gonna want to pay any money for Vlahovic right now. Hey, he could leave on a free during the summer. That's another option he's gonna have, but I don't think he's gonna get like very large contract offers based on like what he's shown in the last couple of years. I mean, you never know. I'm still betting a German team, probably like Borussia Dortmund or like Bayern Leverkusen will probably pick him up. But
He's
I
been linked
kind
with
of
Barcelona, right?
Yeah, but Barca don't have a lot of money either. So, for salaries and stuff, 'cause they've had some like financial
Yeah,
happenings. So we'll see.
yeah. They were asking Lewandowski not to score so they wouldn't have to pay him the bonuses
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're like they're eye
and all
drop.
that
They're
shit.
using the eyedropper for
Must
the
be nice
players.
to have a youth setup like that where you can just know these problems and then you can still remain competitive because you got these youth players. Or like you
Yeah, I
mentioned a
mean,
while ago, like you buy all these players and in the end, your youth guy just ends up taking the
yeah,
job
they're better
anyway.
than them, right? Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's crazy.
that's the crazy thing. And
That's
they're
some
talking
shit.
about bringing some of these guys back. You know what I mean? Like, and the another example is like the Moise Ken situation from last season. It's like, oh, yeah, Thiago Motta doesn't want him. He sends him to Fiorentina, he ends up scoring like 16 goals. And he's like, oh, yeah, like you can make it work. Like, you're just a shit coach, bro. You know,
Yeah.
this is what it is. Anyways, let's move on. Let's talk about the other games. So, yeah.
Yeah, moving on to your point where we have Cagliari and Pisa, 2-2 draw, pretty even matchup. Um, I would say for this one, not expecting a whole lot from both teams, right? I think Pisa it's more in the fight to stay up in Serie A.
Yeah.
Cagliari more than likely just aiming for to end up at a mid-table spot. Um, Seemed like a pretty contested matchup, a pretty even matchup between both teams as far as the stats, and it reflected on the score sheet with a 2-2 draw.
Yeah, 89-minute goal for Morel in this match to try it out for Pisa. Pisa almost lost it, right? They scored first with the penalty that Tramoni put in, but then Folorunsho and Kilstoy scored to kind of overturn the result. And then Pisa was able to pull back at the end of the 89-minute goal by Morel. But again, like you said, this is probably like a draw. I had draw written all over it because Pisa does draw quite often, even sometimes with bigger teams. They're pretty tough not to crack, and I'm surprised that this game was actually kind of a high-scoring game for their standards, I guess.
Now it was kind of a battle, some good goals. First, right, like you said, Tramoni with a penalty, going with preferred FC first option, going right down the middle for his goal. But then we have Foloruncho followed up with a good header
Yeah.
for Cagliari to tie things up. Then Cagliari actually went ahead after that with another actually pretty good goal, a strike from right at the edge of the box to the second post, almost top bins for Kilisoy. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it was a great goal from
Close
him
enough.
to give Cagliari the advantage. And then, like you said, 89th minute for Pisa. They get the equalizer through Moreo to end in a 2-2 draw. Again, two teams, Pisa fighting to stay in Serie A. Cagliari kind of had him bottom mid table. I think that's where they're probably going to end up. So not a whole lot to share on that game. Not a lot of surprises. I think the biggest surprise for me was the following game, which was Sassuolo Torino, which ended up in a 1-0 victory for Torino. I probably had Sassuolo as favorites going into this matchup.
Yeah, I'm playing at home, right? But Torino has shown that they can surprise about anybody, right? Like in this season, they just been very inconsistent. They had a bit of a rough start, but I feel like after their start, I think they've made a couple of changes and they've gotten a couple of good results too. They're not where they want to be in the table yet. Um, but I mean, they're a team that if you thought about it at the beginning of the season, and you were like, "Is Torino supposed to be Sassuolo in a match?" You would have said yes, just by looking at the rosters. But the table right now tells a very different story. Although there's only 2 points of separation between Sassuolo and Torino, even though Sassuolo
Yeah.
give the impression of having had like a way better season. You know what I mean? But yeah, again, this was
And
one of those matches
Torino's
that was hard
goal,
to bet
right?
on.
Torino's goal
It's a
was a
penalty.
penalty,
Yeah.
right, for a foul committed against Simeone, which was put away very nicely. Also, to mention, Sassuolo did not have Domenico Berardi starting either for this match,
Yeah.
who has been awesome this season as expected, the Sassuolo legend. But 1-0 victory for Torino against a team that has been playing very well in Sassuolo. So props to Torino for coming away with the 3 points on this one, even though possession wise, running some of the stats were leaning a little bit more towards Sassuolo's favor.
Yeah.
But good for Torino to get the victory. Nice to see them get 3 points against a solid team in Serie A
Yeah.
this season.
Hey, you know who it was nice to see get 3 points finally? Fiorentina, because they had been
What?
sucking.
Fiorentina? Are they even allowed to win this season?
I don't know. I thought they were going like for relegation. Well, what did Yusuf? What did you think Fiorentina was gonna do this season at the start of the season?
Definitely not what's going
I mean,
on now.
we do have to talk about it, right? They Udinese did have a red card at the 7th minute, right? Which
Yeah,
definitely had an impact on the match.
yeah,
Um,
that's true.
but still, typically when
And
teams
it
are
was the
down
goalkeeper.
a player, they'll park the bus. So props to Fiorentina for still being able to get 5 goals on 10-man Udinese side.
Yeah, but you know
And
how
I don't
annoying.
know if you I don't know if you saw that Goodmanson goal, but god damn it, that's a player where there was a lot of hype around him like a year and a half ago. Kind of
Yeah,
disappeared
it's a
from the
good
map.
player.
He had an amazing goal for Fiorentina's second goal on this match.
Dude,
Um,
this is why people don't understand like why Fiorentina's in the situation. Because if you look at the roster, I mean, except for the defense, like honestly, it's the defense. If you ask me, just the defensive line is just not good. But from the midfield up, they should have three solid squad. It's just defensively they kind of sucked. Is what it is.
And props to Sole. I know Inter were trying to get him last transfer market. Probably the best goal of this entire match, even though they lost 5-1.
Yeah,
Amazing strike from outside the box to the
that's a
second
good player.
post to give Udinese at least one goal on the score sheet, but very lopsided contest in Fiorentina's favor. White seeing Udinese go down a man from the 7th minute.
That's
Good to
very good.
see Moise Kean hit his traditional celebration,
The gritty.
right? Because we talked about it. I can't remember, but there was a player that was making fun of him. I think it was against Sassuolo when they played Sassuolo,
Mm.
who
I,
the
I don't
last
think it's
goal.
making fun of him, bro. Like I think there's a lot of
I
players
don't
that
know,
celebrate that.
but he did the Moise Kean celebration when they got the victory
I
over
don't think it was
Fiorentina.
even originally was against celebration. He copied it off a NFL player. I'm not mistaken.
Then we had Atalanta taking on Genoa. Atalanta, who have been playing well as of late.
Yeah.
Uh, not at all different on this contest. Very lopsided towards Atalanta, even though the score sheet didn't show it. It was a 1-0 victory for Atalanta, but they had 19 shots on goal versus
Yeah.
7 for Genoa. And even though it was 19 shots, only 4 of them were on targets, but 71% possession in this match. And
Yeah.
there's
But
not
they
a whole
scored
lot you
they
can do
only
if you don't
scored
have
in the
possession of the
94th.
ball,
94th minute is when they actually ended up scoring,
which is crazy.
which is crazy because they gave 6 additional minutes in this match and he scored in the 94th. Wow. I bet Genoa's manager was pissed at the time, I'm sure.
Genoa, who obviously have been struggling this
Like the
season,
Rossi?
and
Yeah.
The
Huh?
Rossi.
like you said, it wasn't only
You
a
mean the
goal in the
manager?
94th
Yeah.
minute, but it was a goal from a
Yeah,
set
but also,
piece header, right?
Terrible against
yeah. The crazy
So
thing is that
good
the
for
red
Genoa.
card was in the 30th minute and it was Leali, the goalkeeper. That's not well. So Atalanta played the entire match with one man up, like starting with the third minute, and they could only score in the 94th. That's crazy. That's how this game is sometimes. Like Genoa must have felt like, yeah, we did it, right? Like we're almost there. Like we held on against this very offensive team for 90 minutes. We are gonna get 1 point out of this thing, and then somebody farts and you look the other way and smell it, and somebody scores on a set piece and you lose. That's how this game is. Nobody cares.
Is that why
Like,
they look so despondent against Inter? That looked terrible last game against Inter. Wait, was that Inter?
maybe.
No, Roma
No,
against Roma. It was Roma.
Roma. Yeah.
Yeah, they look like they
But
didn't really care. They didn't want to even be out there.
it's a tough time right now for like a couple of these teams like Genoa, like Hellas Verona, Pisa, Fiorentina. They're like sitting smack down at the bottom. Fiorentina is actually, if they win 2 matches in a row, they'll get out of the relegation zone. But
Yeah,
they need to
teams
get
like
they
that
need to
can
get
always,
going.
when you got the talent, you can always turn it around.
Yeah, they still got time. They got time.
Yeah.
They had one of the worst starts in Fiorentina history, probably the worst start ever for them in a Serie A campaign.
Yeah, it is definitely the worst start in a Serie A campaign. So good to see them finally turn things around, especially for Moise Kean. We still have the World Cup playoffs to be played. So hopefully Moise Kean is back to his old self and we can count on him. We really definitely need him to make sure that we qualify for the next World Cup.
Yeah, 100%. Because Italia doesn't have any strikers really. Like we're very starved. Um, we need better quality strikers with more experience. So we're gonna still talk about Fiorentina, like as the match day 17th. That's like the first match. They
We
went
got
back to their old habits.
unfortunately, right? The good and the positive didn't last long for Fiorentina because then they
Yeah,
started off the next match day with a 1-0 defeat
that's terrible.
against Parma. So yeah, and that's why I wanted to call out the fact that hey, yeah, they did get 5 goals past Genoa, but it was also because they were a man up since the 7th minute.
Yeah. No red cards in the Fiorentina Parma match. Parma ends up winning, taking it 1-0. And moving a little bit ahead of Fiorentina in those standings right now. Like Parma has an 8 point lead on them now, in terms of staying safe in the Serie A. So a lot of work to do from Fiorentina's perspective. And the
No,
next match,
Parma, one of those teams that can't seem to figure it out, but I think we probably all had them being at the mid-table, right at the end of
they're
the
closer to
season.
the bottom, maybe. Yeah.
So again, solid 3 points for them, but it's against Fiorentina, which unfortunately have been that team this season where everybody seems to be getting some points when they
Yeah.
play against Fiorentina, which we're not used to traditionally. So props to Parma for getting the win there. Then we had Torino playing Cagliari, 2-1 victory for Cagliari, coming off their 2-2 draw versus
See how
Pisa.
Torino is
So
just crazy inconsistent? Like Torino, they beat one team that they might have lost against, like Sassuolo, and then they go against Cagliari at home and they lose. And Kilisoy scored
inconsistency. They're
again.
still
He's
trying
on
to figure it
fire.
out.
Back-to-back games scoring for Kilisoy.
Kille who?
Kilisoy, I think
I
you
think
use it
Cagliari
froze.
is not a team to sleep on
Okay, you
for
didn't
sure.
treat. Cagliari, no, yeah, man, you gotta put in the work because they can come and surprise you. Looks like how they did Torino there. Torino now stuck in the 13th position with 20 points. Cagliari right behind them with 18 points. So it's a very, very tight Serie A. Not a lot of points separating the teams, especially there in that mid-table. A lot of
Yeah, and
leapfrogging.
one team that had a little bit of a bounce back after their Uh, their defeat in the last match day. Como
Oh yeah,
back to winning ways against Lecce. Right, Como another one I think along with Cremonese, one of the I want to say for me, not that much of a surprise, but a surprise for a lot. Granted, that first goal from Nico Paz was a fluke, a deflection from one of the defenders. So Como did get another 3 points. Como have been playing solid again. I know we joke around with it, but they're the Spanish team playing in the Serie A.
yeah,
Goal from Nico Paz, goal from Ramon on the 66th minute, and another goal from Dubicas on the
yeah.
75th minute
You can train
that
well as
gives
well.
Sassuolo the 3 points. So
No problem,
obviously
not
against
Sassuolo.
Lecce, who haven't been having the
Easy
best
person.
season, right? Kind of expected,
Yeah,
but interesting, right? That again, like Como, all
almost back in
these
the European
foreign
position right
players.
now with that win. You know,
Yeah.
they're back in the
Europa
sixth
League.
spot.
Oh, the six. Well,
Mm-hmm.
let's see who they
Conference
can
League.
keep next year.
That
I
would
think
be
Nico
great.
Paz goes back to Real, right?
Yeah, that would probably not happen anyways. You know,
So let's see how they can manage that.
you gotta be tough because I think he's kind of like their flag bearer.
They got a nice nice spot to attract people. Como's a beautiful place.
That's
You got
true.
Six
And
Fabregas, so
yeah, and
I
the
don't know
owners
who.
of the team are like famous Americans and stuff.
That's what I was gonna ask because I always get them confused with the team Berlusconi has. I think it's Monza, right?
Monza, yeah, it's Monza.
Yeah, yeah. But that's not a bad. Sec Fabregas has done a pretty good job of picking his destinations in life.
Oh,
It's
brother,
true.
London,
look
Barcelona, Como.
right next to Lake Como.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude.
that's
Monaco.
great.
He
Pretty
got a.
good destination spot.
Yeah. So another pretty good destination spot is Rome and Lazio.
Well, unless you're
Wishes they
Lazio,
had
which
It's all
wishes
right.
they had played there this weekend. Instead, they went to Udine and they drew 1-1.
He got Sarri as the manager again, right?
Yes, sir. Sarri
Yeah.
was fearing for his job during the first like 6 or 7 match days, but then seems to have gotten a grip on it again, and now he's sitting at the eighth spot on the table. A couple of points, 3 points behind Como, but he's got one match in hand because Como did not play the last match day. So basically, Lazio with that draw against Udinese did not do themselves any favor. Udinese rescued the draw in the 95th minute with a goal from Davis. But if Davis hadn't scored in 93, Udinese would have had 2 losses in a row. One against Fiorentina and the other against Lazio would have been terrible for them. Uh, Instead, they held on, got at least a point, hold on to 11th position, and they tied with Atalanta and Sassuolo at 22 points right now.
yeah, but Lazio's goal came from a very unfortunate deflection from Sole. Um, but Davis's goal was actually a pretty good goal for Udinese to draw it up.
Yeah, it was.
But 96 minute, right? So literally probably
Again,
the last kick of the game. Davis was able to score for Udinese for them to walk away with 1 point. Not their best display, especially after their performance in the previous match day. Lazio struggling still, right? It's we think they get a good result. We think they're going to turn things around, but then they kind of fall back into their ways. So still some work to be done from a Lazio standpoint to get some more consistency.
yeah,
But then we had a Juve play again against Pisa.
yeah.
2-0 victory for Juve on this one.
That was a tough team to break down. It
That's
seemed like the
terrible.
first half we had a rough time
Yeah.
having making anything happen like in the final third. But I think once Spalletti put Zagloba in, like the entire just the offense, the whole offense changed. It was just he was just breaking him down on that right side. It was fun to watch, but at the same time, it's like nerve wracking. Like why can't we do that before he comes in? Right? Like you can't depend
The
on like one
players.
person.
That's what I'm telling you about the players. It's not that they're a tough team to crack. It's just that we don't have the creative players to make something happen. They don't have the technical ability and those passes that you were talking about earlier. You have players of a certain quality. They can see
Like
passing lanes.
Yildiz can see that. Yildiz is a player of that quality. I
Right.
think
Every
Yildiz
time he grabs it,
Senova,
he does something. He puts the ball, a shot on goal.
yeah,
What happened to the Juve against Inter that was just shooting everything and from long distances? Like if you don't have the players that can make the passes necessary, put a shot on goal, man. Make the keeper make a stop and let the ball spill out. And every once in a while, you're gonna stroke one from 30 yards.
yeah.
You know what I
See,
mean? You can do worse.
that's something that Inter has that Juve does not seem to have. Like Inter has people like Shalanoglu, who if you give him 2 feet of space close to the box and the ball, and he sees the goal, he scores. Like he's
But apparently we do because that game, like all the goals except for Turan's goal were like from distance. Like
yeah,
they
but it's
do
like
have it to shoot
Yildiz and
not to.
Adzic. Like they're attackers. Like we
And
need
Locatelli has that
midfielders.
ability too. The only thing Locatelli
Yo,
can
bro,
do well,
Locatelli's got the
yeah, he
worst
can he can
shooting
kick.
percentage than
He just
Shaq at the
doesn't take
free
it.
throw line, bro. Like, what are you talking about?
He doesn't take the shot, but he can put in a good shot from distance.
He just puts 1 out of 7 like on goal, and the other
No,
is
it's
go to
that's
like the
that's his
third
passes, man.
row of the fans. Like he's just not technical enough to do that. Like we don't have
They
like
need
a
to shoot more from distance, man. You don't have the ability to string passes together and create opportunities, then you need to take shots from distance.
yeah. I don't think Turan has that shot. At least he's got the power, but not the control. I don't think McKenny's that type of player either. And I think Locatelli is just not technical enough to pull that off consistently. He's not a Pjanic. He's not a Pirlo. He's not a Marquisio. He's not a Vidal. Like he doesn't have the technical
It's not
quality.
okay. Yeah, I know. I know he's not a player.
He's not a Pogba. He's not like anybody who's played in the midfield for you in the last
They
like
don't
10 years.
anybody, man.
Locatelli isn't right. Like we don't really have that. We bought Cope Miners because we thought Cope Miners was gonna be that,
To
but he's
be that,
not.
and we paid 60 million for a defender.
He looks like a old lady running around. Like he just like can't keep up with the rest of the team. It's terrible. Anyway,
Yeah.
So
That's
Juventus
the
I
problem
gotta
with
2-0.
black
say
people. Keep ranking.
another great display by McKenny, right? That first
Yeah,
goal, assist for Kalulu. Again, just McKenny, regardless of what position, what role he's
everywhere.
playing, just seems to find a way to contribute,
Yeah,
right, to the team's success. Um, I don't know why. I don't know the issues he was having with Tudor, why he wasn't starting for some matches, but
he was starting like that's again like you saw. I remember I told you even on the podcast that Tudor and McKenny had a problem, and Tudor took the armband away. Like I remember that match very clearly. I think Tudor was already having problems, but McKenny was one of the players that Thiago Mota didn't want him. He said he was going to send him away, and then he ended up having to play him because the players that he brought in were shit. And then Tudor, who Tudor took the armband away, he wasn't going to play him either. But then McKenny became indispensable, and now Spalletti was like, blah, 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 this is going to be my formation and whatnot. And then he ended up switching the formation that McKenny needs to play. So everybody ends up playing McKenny. And all this bullshit is around his contract. They should renew the contract. And like, what is he asking for that we can't pay him? It's like what Yusa was saying. If we lose McKenny because of like $500,000, but we gave $6 million to fucking Jonathan David, I'm gonna burn my fucking shirts. It's like we are being ridiculous from a manager perspective.
yeah, I think that's one of the players that you can't afford to lose. Such a versatile player that can not only play so many different positions, but contribute as much as he does for
Yeah,
Juve.
I'm just gonna put the question
for
out.
sure.
Like if you want to buy a player like that right now, who is it and how much does it cost you?
Paying 40 for him, thirty-five.
Right?
I mean,
Yeah.
they value Fratesi at 35. I mean,
Yeah. So how much
Yeah,
is McKenny
Fratesi
worth?
is not McKenny, dude.
So how much is McKenny worth? If Fratesi is worth 30 million, how much is McKenny worth? Like
40 to
somebody has an
50 at least.
impact in every game.
Let's say 40 to 50 at least.
That's what I'm saying.
they've been trying to get rid of him for like 4 years now.
Like they're stupid, bro.
So,
They're
and
just stupid at this point.
it's something in the building, right? Because they've been doing just it's just been terrible decisions over and over
Yeah,
again.
it's been
Same situation
embarrassing.
with Dybala. Like,
Yeah, what the fuck was that, man? Like, what the fuck? Then we gave Pjanic to Barcelona for Archer. Like, who greenlit that shit? It's oh my god, dude. It's just been like just disaster after disaster. Like from a back office perspective, and like they want to blame the coaching, but it's just management. It's just been
I
shit.
mean, yeah, man. It's the same thing. It's like the same thing with United. That's what I was gonna say earlier. Like, it's not about the coaches, the players, it's just management bringing in, and it seems like to be a disconnect with what the manager wants and what the front office wants to do, and it's just buying all these misfit toys and trying to plug them in together and make them
Yeah.
work. And
It's just making decisions from an economic perspective and not thinking about the actual results on the pitch. They're just thinking about, oh, I can get this player cheap and then sell him for like a lot more than I got him. That's all they're thinking about. They're just trying to get turnover like that. They're just trying to like buy cheap, but it's not working out. It's not working out. They're not doing a good job. They sold the whole of next gen for 200 million and they
they spend
wasted
it on
that
crap.
shit on four players. They sold an
They
entire
spend it
roster
on,
worth
yeah.
of players for 200 million, and they got four players back, and three of them were shit. It's, that's it's the truth. Anyway, let's move on before
Oh,
I start like
as
cursing.
as we have the Fast and the Furious go through, we're
Yeah,
moving on to our next game. We have Milan playing against Verona. Captain America, which again I freaking hate that name because it's like it seems to be whoever the best player and captain for the U.S. team is. That's the moniker that they give to him. It's like zero originality. But Pulisic has been on fire for Milan. Opened up the score count on this match as well, right before the end of the first half with a good volley from a header from a set piece. Then we had Nkunku follow up with make from the penalty spot, and then a poacher's goal after Modric hit the post. And Nkunku follows up with a easy tap in to get his brace for the match. 3-0 victory for Milan. Kind of expected playing against Verona and kind of the way Verona has been playing. Solid win for Milan, 3-0 victory. Pretty much dominated the stat line all across the board. And again, Milan, very dangerous team, still contending for the Serie A title, especially even more dangerous considering the fact that they not only don't have any European competition, but they are also out of the Coppa Italia for the rest of the season.
yeah, and they were just beating on poor Hellas Verona, and nobody's more Verona than Hellas
Hellas,
Verona, but
Hellas.
still, they were not able to take on Milan. Expected.
But solid for Milan, right? I think for Milan, I see them contending, but honestly, right now, the way I'm seeing it, I think I would put kind of Inter, Napoli a little bit further up front. I would put kind of Milan and Roma on that same category as maybe contending, but I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up fighting for the third and fourth spot. And I think Juve for me is kind of the dark horse in the unknown this season,
I
where
don't
it's
think you
like
were
I
gonna
know
start
I
losing
had him I
again.
had it ended up second. There's still a lot of matches to be played, but honestly, I think when it comes down to it, I just I see Milan and Roma being consistent, but I don't see them being at that level where I would put like an Inter, a Napoli, and even a Juve, even though they've been struggling right now.
Yeah. Well, Milan has only lost a single match in the entire season. So Milan has done very well. They just got 5 draws, and that's the reason that they're behind Inter. But they have better defensive record than Inter by 1 goal. Inter is just the best offense in the league, so they are where they deserve to be, just
And the
based on the
second
amount
best
of goal.
defense right now as well. It's not only that they've the best
Not
offense;
not the second best defense right now.
they're
The
the second
one,
best defense
two,
right now.
no, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defenses are better than Milan's. They're the sixth best defense right
I
now.
was saying Inter. Inter is the second best defense.
No, Inter is the sixth best defense. So Inter has allowed 14 goals. Milan has allowed 13. Napoli 13. Roma 11. Como 12. Lazio 12. So like there's like 6 teams that are better than Inter defensively. But offensively, they are number one, no doubt.
Okay, so maybe it was for the whole year of
Yeah.
2025, but I had seen that recently.
It's like no contest. So I think
So,
based on the scoring, they're top of the table.
and then we had the defending champs take on Cremonese, who have not had the best results in the last two match days after their
Yeah.
very surprising start to the season. I think Napoli is just getting into it, right? They're starting to find their flow. Hoyland again scoring a brace on this one for Napoli. So it's been funny because Lukaku has been available since the Super Copa, yet he hasn't played.
They gotta
And
take
I
it slow
think,
coming back. He was out for a bit.
but I think that's what's the blessing in disguise with Hoyland playing the way that he is, where so you don't have to rush to bring Lukaku in, right? You have Hoyland scoring goals. Luka, granted, hasn't played the best, but he's also been able to get on the score sheet for Napoli as well. So it's great for Napoli to the fact that they've been getting results, that they're getting goals, and they still have Lukaku that hasn't come back yet, right? And is able to get a little bit of rest to make sure he's 100% before he actually comes onto the pitch for Napoli.
Yeah,
But
it's
two
crazy
poachers
how
goals from Holland.
obvious it is that Napoli gets into a regular run of results just as the European competition goes into pause. Like, as long as they're not playing a medal tournament, they're amazing. The minute they have to go start switching calendars, it all goes to hell. So honestly, it depends on whether Napoli goes further in the Champions League, whether they're gonna win this title or not. I think if they get eliminated and they don't go into the next round of the Champions League, they might win the Scudetto again. If they do get farther than the round of 16 or something in the Champions League, then it might be a toss up.
I think Napoli is still in the hunt. I still don't feel confident in my prediction, even though Juve have been getting to a slower start than I was expecting this season.
Yeah.
I think still, like for in my opinion, that Juve and Inter still have the best teams, but Napoli, don't. It depends on what happens in the Champions League, whether they go through or not. I think that's going to be huge for them if they can focus strictly on the Serie A and Coppa Italia moving forward.
Yeah, and they have a couple of key players out, like De Bruyne and someone Giza still need to come back as well, not just the club
And
himself.
Giza especially, right? Because he's
Yeah.
so key for that team. But again, getting results, even though they have some very key players that are still out, uh, definitely good for the defending champs. And then we had Bologna versus Sassuolo, very contested match. Even though Bologna kind of dominated on the stat sheet, Sassuolo haven't been an easy opponent this season. Obviously, Bologna coming off their victory against Inter in the Super Copa, but then the loss against Napoli in the final. To me, this was a little bit surprising because I felt even though Sassuolo had been playing awesome, um, I, I would have probably given the edge to Bologna on this one.
Yeah.
So I was a little
Yeah.
bit surprised around the 1-1 draw. But again, it's just I love the grit and determination that Sassuolo has shown this season. This is another one where they actually start and have to come back to get the
Yeah.
draw.
And
Good,
away
good,
too. Not playing at home.
good goal from I believe it was Fabian,
Yeah,
ex
it was Fabian.
Inter Academy player who got the first one. But then Sassuolo again showing grit, showing the courage to come back, get their goal from a set
Mlademovic.
piece, from a corner. Good header to beat the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper kind of fumbled it. He probably should have had that one. Terrible way to come out for the keeper. Completely misjudges the flight of the ball, misses it. Sassuolo is able to get the header on goal and get the 1-1 draw.
That's a
Muharemovic
player. That's a
scoring
player
the
that's
goal.
currently being linked with Inter in the transfer
Yep.
market.
I
I
don't know.
believe we do it too.
I
Yeah, it'd
think
be a good
you got.
addition to any defense. He's like a kind of like a big tough defender. Like it'd be probably a good body to add in there. And like for example, if you were getting rid of Lugani, for example, like they could bring this guy in. He can be a good sub for either Kelly or whoever plays on the right side. They're also talking about maybe selling Gatti. So if Gatti leaves, like we could bring this guy in as well, just to have an extra body we could toss around his defense.
I mean, solid player. I don't know, but I don't see a lot about him. But he's been solid. The fact that he's gaining interest from clubs like Juve and Inter says a lot. I don't know. For me, it's always what's real and what's kind of a smokescreen and distractions from Marotta. But I definitely trust Marotta when it comes to the market. So I'll let him make the best decisions for the club. He has thus far since joining Inter. But on this one, 1-1 draw. So not a big help as far as the table for either team. But
Yeah.
contested result, right? Good for Sassuolo again, getting a point from yet another, I would say, top team because Bologna is right
Yeah,
now one of the most informed teams in Serie A for sure.
it had been at
Then,
least. Yeah.
then we had Inter Atalanta, the battle of the Nerazzurri, taking place. Atalanta have been playing a lot better, right, under their new boss. I think they're kind of starting to find their way. This was a
Yeah.
very contested match, but I think kind of an outlier because when you actually look at it, Atalanta actually had 0 goals on target in this match.
So I'm sorry. Yeah.
They did play well, right? The Catalare, they had a couple of players play well. Slow start for Inter. I think Lautaro, I can't say enough about Lautaro. It says a lot when your captain, your most valuable player that actually at least within the top 10 for the Ballon d'Or recently, is the one that at the and I took a mental note of this because it was the 78th minute, Inter winning 1-0, and Lautaro was not only putting pressure but doing slide tackles to try to recover possession. So
Yeah,
for
he's awesome,
me,
man.
it's awesome to see your captain just going all out like that. Hopefully, that's contagious. I didn't see that from Turam, which I gotta give. I know I always talk a lot of shit about Kibu. For this one, I think he actually made the right choices. Turam, obviously, he's a great talent, very skillful player, has helped us a lot. But I feel he's been very lackadaisical and kind of nonchalant in the last couple of appearances for Inter. Kivu notices this, brings on Pio Esposito. It took him less than a minute to kind of start putting pressure on the ball like Lautaro. Defense makes a mistake. Pio Esposito intercepts an errant pass from the defense. Um, Quick pass to Lautaro for Inter to take the lead. So props to Pio Esposito as well for coming in and making the difference. But for this one, I did want to give Kibu his flowers because he did do a good job in making some changes to change the outcome of this match.
No, it's an
I
easy.
would say from a transfer market standpoint, I think Inter obviously they need some help on the defensive side. De Vrij and Acerbi are both over the hill.
They're
They're
done, bro.
just
They're
yeah.
done.
They got to start finding some replacement. I know we talked about Mujeramovic from Sassuolo,
Mhm.
right? I know they got a couple of other players that they're looking at. I would say that's one for sure. And then on the right side, I think they've been struggling with Dumfries being out now for a little over a month. They've struggled to find a good replacement for him on the right. I think Diouf has played well when he's played that role, even though he's more of a center mid and center attacking midfielder. And I think Luis Enrique hasn't done bad, but he just doesn't have the confidence that I would expect from him, especially as a Brazilian player. I was expecting some flair, him taking players on one by one, which he does show flashes, but I think he just doesn't have the confidence to be able to do that effectively for Inter yet. So I think those would be the two kind of areas for me to focus on. I know they've been talking a lot of shit about Summer, but you got to be out of your fucking mind to talk about replacing Summer after the Champions League and the season he just had in 2025. We have Martinez, who's a great backup goalkeeper as well. I can't even think of a time where Martinez made a mistake that cost Inter anything. And he's played a lot because he's played Coppa Italia. He's played a lot of key matches. He's played in the Champions League. So I think Inter are good as far as a goalkeeper in between the posts. So I would say another defender, maybe a midfielder. If we could rekindle conversations around Kone, that would be awesome. If Juve want Fratesi as bad and they want to give us Zegrova, that way we can get rid of Fratesi and actually get a
What
replacement
kind
for
of like
Dumfries on the right
fantasy
side.
world are you living in right now? Let me stop you right there. We still got a game to get to. You can't be speculating on ridiculous shit that's never
I would
gonna
say,
happen.
listen, if you want Fratesi, Segrova,
Nobody wants
or
Fratesi, bro. Like
Kefren
Fratesi's
Turam,
parents
or
don't want
Kefren
Fratesi. They
Turam,
kicked him out of the
Kefren Turam.
house.
Well,
They're like,
will you take Yildiz? Would you settle for Yildiz?
yeah, exactly. If
No,
you want
he's
Yildiz and
terrible.
Bremer,
Yildiz
we'll
is
give
a
you
terrible
Yildiz and
player,
Bremer,
dude.
and you give us Acerbi.
Fratesi.
You'll never get
Uh,
Fratesi and
the
Acerbi, man,
crazy
because we need
crazy shit is
Italians.
we could have had Bremen.
Yeah, no.
On an obligation to buy. Is that sort of thing? Obligation to buy. What
Yeah.
about call him? We can call him the
Hey, can we
Marotta.
can we talk about the Roma games and get the fuck out of here? It's been an hour and a half.
Yeah, but like an hour has been talking about Juventus, bro.
What are you talking about? This is like the Inter podcast. Uh, anything else we want to say about that Inter match against Atalanta? For like,
I just want to say one more thing. Inter are at the top of the table with one game in hand heading into the break.
but you don't
Suck
have a
it.
gaming hand
Go
on
ahead.
Milan, do you? Or do you?
No, we have a gaming hand on you.
Yeah, no, but we're not second. Like you gotta have a gaming hand
No, you're
against
you're
like
you're
the
what? You're
second.
fifth. You're fifth, and Bologna also has a game in hand.
Right, but you
So
you don't have a gaming. You're not
again,
first with a gaming
what I
hand.
what I
You're just
just want
first.
everybody to remember is we're going into 2026, and Inter is at top of the table. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
enjoy it while it lasts. That happens a lot, though, but it's not usually where you
I
end
hear
up
some
at.
jealousy, but I'm gonna ignore it, and I'm gonna move to the next
But you were
matchup
top
and
of
the
the
last
table last
match
season
of the
too.
match day, which is Roma versus Genoa. 3-1 victory for Roma.
Yeah,
Sole, Kone, and Ferguson getting on the score sheet. Finally, Roma
Ferguson.
getting more than
Yeah,
two freaking goals
true.
on a match. So we talked about it, right? I feel Roma is one team that is just a legit striker and solid number nine away from actually being more
Yeah,
of a contender. I have him still as a contender, but again, I would have it on that second tier with Napoli. I think I would. Sorry, with Milan. I think I would put Inter, Juve, and Napoli a little bit ahead of them, just because of the players they have available, the skill that they have. But
I think.
consistency is key, and Roma have
Yeah,
been nothing but consistent.
But the problem is that they consistently beat the small teams and they've consistently lost against the larger ones. I think that's one factor that they need to change because they just don't seem to have, like you said, the offensive capabilities to beat some of the bigger teams. Once they run into like a team that can play, that can put them in trouble, then it becomes like a real struggle for them. Either otherwise they squeak by defensively and then just score one or two and take the 3 points.
But that kind of
Yeah, but
describes Inter too, doesn't it? Then Inter's
yeah,
No,
top of
because
the
Inter
table.
scored
So,
35 goals so far. Like they're the
yeah,
best
but
scoring
Inter,
team in the
but
league.
Yusef are probably referring to the point where Inter has struggled to get results against the top teams, yet they're still top of the table.
right. And they why?
Mm.
Why? Because they beat all the teams that they're supposed to beat.
And
If
they
it's
haven't
something like
drawn any
that
games.
Roma can pull, huh?
Yeah. And they haven't drawn any games, Inter.
Yeah,
They haven't had a
yeah.
single
Yeah.
draw in
Whereas
the
the
entire
offense comes
season.
into play there. Yeah,
Yeah, that's where the offense
you
matters.
score goals. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, well,
So
that's
again,
a wrap.
hey, for me, good to see Roma getting a couple of goals on the sheet. Again, Inter, Pisa homies, champions, moving into next year. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens in 2026. Again, long season. Where we'll also have the playoffs for Italy to see if they qualify for the World Cup.
Yeah.
Hopefully they do. Cross fingers, knock on wood. But we appreciate you guys joining us for another episode. Tell us how much you love Inter, how much you hate Juventus. The comments.
Nobody from
Feel free
Inter
to
watching
like.
the show.
Feel free to like and subscribe. We appreciate you, everybody. This is the last episode of 2025. We'll be back in 2026. Do a couple of
Yeah.
new things as well. Moving into next year, we appreciate Yusef for joining us from the Miami Correctional Facility. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. From Miami. Our headquarters in Miami. Hey, we
But
thank you.
being a special
Yeah.
guest, I think if once we do this next time, we gotta have like an interista join us as well, so it's 2-on-2 and it's a fair battle, right?
No.
But appreciate
I don't think we'll
everybody.
find
Thank,
another one that wants to do a podcast. And thank you for subscribing, everyone. Thanks for subscribing. Say a couple things.
appreciate it.
Tell Marco
Thanks
how
for
wrong
tuning
he is.
in as well. We
Tell him
appreciate
how
you
wrong he is.
guys. Marco Romano, Tito Yang, and Yusef. We appreciate it. Thanks for joining us. Happy New Year, everybody. We'll see you in 2026.
Yep.
SerieAddicts, we out.
Peace.